The world government, otherwise known as the WHO, could gain the power to force the UK into another lockdown should the pandemic treaty be signed into law. This is a mainstream media headline now, but it's something the conspiracy theorists have been saying to the sound of disinformation claims for months. Just 1 month ago, Logically Facts, another so-called independent gaggle of recently graduated fact-checkers, stated that the WHO's pandemic treaty will not overpower any country's domestic policies. The suggestion that it could give the unelected WHO those powers had a big fat stamp with the word false next to it. So that's that then. The fact-checkers have spoken. I'm still waiting for them to fact-check Sarah Kyatt, who claimed on national TV here in the UK that AstraZeneca's compliance juice gave 100% protection against hospitalisation and death. Now, it sent plenty of people to the hospital and it sent plenty of people to the morgue, but the misinformation busters are still on their coffee break with this one. It's been 878 days since Sarah told us this dangerous nonsense, but I'm sure they'll be on it any minute now. The Bill Gates-funded health organisation and its cholera outbreak concealing Gates-fluffing fake Doctor Who frontman Dr. Tedros have been the de facto world government for 3 years. Selected politicians took their orders from them. Social media giants and video platforms took their version of the gospel truth from them and removed those that said otherwise. To the establishment-funded fact-checkers and mainstream media bobbleheads, the WHO are the oracle. Healthcare trusts, now that's an inversion if ever I heard one, took their orders from the WHO, and we were simply told to follow the science and keep your mouth shut. Epstein's mate's checkbook knows best. These demons were handed that power by suited dimwits and ghouls even without a pandemic treaty in place. But there were some pushbacks in certain areas, so they'll want to dot the I's and cross the T's for the next one.
They create a profile, information profile for any person they want to target it, for any organization they want to target. So that's B. And then BGYG stands for gold. So it's very easy to understand. That's money. That's financial reward. That's bribery. Okay. And then Y stands for yellow, which means a honey trap. So we're very familiar with, Eric Swalwell's romantic relationship with the Chinese spy Fan Fan, which Fan Fan is a registered spy. She has basically compromised 2 other mayors in the United States. And one of them, they were having, intercourse, sexual relationship and caught tape by the FBI. FBI was tapping into Fan Fan and surveillance her. And then they discovered that this is going on. So these are the tactics that the CCP uses to control and manipulate individual. So whether those individuals who are holding those critical positions in the West, either in business or government, they may be blackmailed. Nobody knows. That is why Musk will shed a light on them and say, you never know who is actually blackmailed. You never know who is willingly or unwillingly cooperating and helping the CCP. And that's something I think the United States law enforcement needs to look into. But very ironically, the law enforcement agency, FBI itself, breaking the law because it refuses to turn in to the Congress, to the congressional leaders for the forms that they are asking to facilitating the investigation of the foreign nations' interference into your White House. So that's the ironic, that's absurdity that we're observing right now. The world is upside down.
No, unfortunately, Gareth, they have they've misunderstood Putin completely. He's not an evil tyrant. He cannot be compared to Genghis Khan or Stalin. Nobody mentions Stalin these days. When it comes to tyrants, Putin's not a tyrant. You only have to use your instinct and observation skills rather than listening to the rubbish that you see on the television and reading the paper. I would encourage people to. There was Oliver Stone, the film director, did a 4-part series on interviews with Putin. And he asked some pretty tough questions. Putin, I implore people to watch that 4-part series. It's very revealing and shows that this man is not a tyrant. He's a very calm and, I would say, decent individual. I would probably get a lot of flack for saying that because it's not what people need to say. I've seen politicians and senators, Americans. I watched interviews with them. They are pushing the narrative that he is evil and he needs to be assassinated. That's the latest from some idiot in the Senate. He needs to be assassinated because he's an evil tyrant. Well, that's simply not true. But they have to follow this narrative, because if they don't, they'll be out of a job, or they'll be punished in some sort of way. So we've all got to do it. And they can't keep it going forever.
No.
Because the reality is kicking in already. People are relentless. And actually there's more support for him. When you look in social media, there's more support from him than for...
than Zelensky. People are growing tired of Zelensky.
Sure.
When you see what's in this film and you see the devastating story that it proves with the evidence that backs it up, it's a total embarrassment to our judiciary. It's an embarrassment to our media. It's an embarrassment to the government. It totally vindicates. I've been portrayed to the world as a liar on this story. I was the only journalist who told the truth. I was the only journalist who properly investigated this story. And because of that, they have gone to lengths where they've weaponized the judiciary in order to financially bankrupt me. But they hit me for £1.6 million. When you actually get a chance to watch this film, and then you realise that they took me through the courts and done me for £1.6 million because of this film, because of what I reported. Even the fact that I reported what I was told is insane. I was given no protection as a journalism. I was told that the public interest was not a defence, even though the public had been fed a story about Jamal, the child in this situation, and the public had donated £160,000 to him when I made my video telling them that they were being lied to. So it was in the public's interest. I still maintain it was in the public's interest. Any other journalist would have been able to argue a public interest argument. I wasn't. I had to argue truth, and I had to prove truth. And I proved truth. I went to the High Court of London. 5 children come to court and testified and gave evidence. Evidence was produced. Evidence and script from the school records, from Jamal's father saying that he got caught with a knife and screwdriver in school. And other school records saying that he stabbed someone. Bearing in mind, the judge ruled against me on libel because I said he threatened to stab someone. He found that I defamed him by saying he threatened to stab someone, even though the school records show he did stab someone. Even though the school paperwork shows he got caught with a knife and screwdriver. But what the judge very cleverly done, and what they very cleverly done, was they ruled against me. They said Jamal had a very positive school record, and then they gave an injunction to prevent the public from ever seeing the truth. The only problem they've got now is that the truth's been shared online, and once it's online, you can't stop it. They now have a decision. If they make the decision to imprison me for contempt, the entire world is going to watch this film.
That's all for this week. Thank you for tuning in. This week, the future government of the UK, the Labour Party, has said that they will allow local authorities to buy up land cheaply if they wish to build on it. This is the same Labour Party that's obsessed with net zero and reducing the carbon in the atmosphere. So they're going to do that by building upon the trees and plants that convert that carbon dioxide into oxygen. It's just another example of the double standards and hypocrisy of these people. Climate activists that claim there is such a thing as climate racial inequality, saying that the actions of the West negatively impact the poorest nations in Africa and beyond. They're the same people pushing for electric cars. These cars are powered by batteries mined by impoverished kids in these very nations. Those that claim to be environmentalists and animal lovers that push for the destruction of coal, oil and gas while championing wind power, the same wind power that kills countless numbers of seabirds every single day. The hypocrisy is everywhere and is getting more and more ridiculous. The likes of Obama and Gates warning of rising sea levels while buying up beachfront properties. Or the people being told to stay at home to save Granny while Granny was being handed a do not resuscitate order and pumped full of midazolam. They say and do different things because they don't actually believe the words they say. And nor should we. Good night.